What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. In this video, we are going to be looking at some loadouts and strategies to use to beat the legend version of the K1 Communion Lost Sector. To do this, we must first know the modifiers. This is a Fallen Lost Sector, meaning we have Overload Captains and Barrier Servitors. The modifier is Arachno, meaning Vandals will spawn a web mine at their feet when they die. The Lost Sector is Solar Burn, meaning Solar does 50% more damage both dealt and received. We have Solar and Void Shields to deal with, but you do not have to run Void as there isn't too many. And lastly, we have the usual modifiers for every Lost Sector with Locked Loadout, Match Game, Extra Shields, and Limited Revives. That is going to do it for what you need to know for this Lost Sector. Now let's look at some builds. The first build I will showcase is my personal favorite. We are on Bottom Tree Dawnblade, the Attunement of Flame. We are running Solar Grenades and pairing them with the exotic Gauntlet Sunbracers, which will make them burn for longer, and if we get a powered melee kill, we can spam the grenades for a few seconds. We are running a Warmind Cell build, which is actually still valuable in this Lost Sector. We have the holy trinity of Solar Warmind Cell mods with Wrath of Rasputin, Rage of the Warmind, and Global Reach. Wrath allows solar explosion damage to create Warmind Cells, and on Bottom Tree, that means our grenades and melees will actually be able to spawn Warmind Cells. We also have Fireteam Medic to give us health when we blow up a Warmind Cell. On the class item, we have Particle Deconstruction to allow our Fusion Rifle or Linear Fusion Rifle to do more damage, and we're running a Kinetic Bow for stunning overloads. And then a Solar Fusion in the Cartesian Coordinate with Vorpal Weapon, and the exotic Linear Fusion Rifle Sleeper Simulant. These both do huge damage with Solar Burn and Particle Deconstruction. However, this loadout may not be viable if you are lower light, as we do not have any anti-barrier rounds. However, after a certain light level, you will be able to melt the barrier servitors before they even put up a shield. The reason I showcase this build first is it has one of my favorite exotic weapons ever in the Sleeper Simulant, and one of my favorite exotic armor pieces in the Sunbracers, which are low-key very good. I have used them in high-end content such as soloing a legend version of the Shattered Realm, and they performed very well. And with Withering Heat on the Artifact mod this season, that only adds to their viability. And lastly, this build is also on one of my favorite subclasses. I play all three characters very regularly, but I am a Warlock main at heart, and I have enjoyed all the subclasses that they have to offer. And Bottom Tree Dawnblade after the rework this season is so much fun to play. If you haven't used it much yet, definitely give it a try. One more thing that I should mention is Rage of the Warmind gives solar damage to Warmind cells, so if we kill enough enemies with a cell, we can actually chain Warmind cells. This Lost Sector has the most adds of any Lost Sector to deal with, so it is important to have good ad clear. So the Warmind cells really help with that. They are certainly not as good as they used to be, but they do work in this Lost Sector in particular. I'll now let you enjoy the rest of the run and see you for the next build. Next up is another one of my favorite builds. For this one, we are on Bottom Tree Gunslinger, Way of the Sharpshooter. We are running a full Argent Ordnance build as we usually do on the Hunter. We have rocket ammo finders, reserves, and scavengers. We have Taking Charge for gaining charge with light, and 3 Argent Ordnance mods to make our rockets deal 35% more damage. Plus, we have the Ascendancy rocket launcher with explosive light, so it does 20% more damage when the perk is active. And then 50% more damage due to solar burn. This makes our rockets hit for almost 2.5 times what they normally would be hitting for. We have a bow for stunning overloads, and then we have even more stopping power by combining Ariana's Vow with the exotic boots Lucky Pants, which will demolish champions. If we're running a solar subclass, which we are here, then Ariana's will output extreme damage thanks to the Lucky Pants mod illegally modded holster. These got reworked in Season of the Light and are insanely strong now. I even took them to the Exodus Crash Grandmaster this week and they performed amazingly well. Honestly, I plan on running these in all the Grandmasters this season that have barrier champions, as they are that good. If you want a full breakdown of how Lucky Pants work, I did a full breakdown video on that at the start of the season and I will link it above. One thing you want to do, and which I failed to do a lot in this run, is hit your crits with Ariana's. If you are able to, then you will be able to take advantage of the Lucky Pants damage buff plus the perk First Glance on Ariana's Vow. Combined with the solar burn, this will delete champions even if you are under light. I took out champions in 1 stun with ease when I was 20 levels under at the start of the season, but you have to hit your crits. However, in this run I am quite over leveled, so hitting crits isn't as critical. Another thing though, is that if you are under leveled, don't even bother with this lost sector. It's just not worth it. It is probably the slowest lost sector to beat in all the game. And having said that, after watching the footage back, Top Tree or Middle Tree Gunslinger may actually be better here. You do not need your super for boss or champion damage, as Ascendancy and Ariana's Vow already hit insanely hard as I mentioned, so Blade Barrage or 6-shooter might be better just for clearing out ads. Something to consider for sure. And if you wanted, you can just solely rely on Ariana's to take out the champions, meaning you could run a machine gun or sword or grenade launcher for quicker ad clear. These are just all options that you can consider. I just wanted to show off the pure power of the rocket launcher with solar burn and the other buffs going on. I know I kill all the adds at the end, but you do not have to. Once the last champion and the boss are down, you are free to grab the chest. Now, let us take a look at the last build. For this build, we're on Bottom Tree Sunbreaker, Code of the Siegebreaker. We're running the exotic chest piece Hollowfire Heart, which pairs wonderfully with this subclass. It is one of my favorite exotics, but I do not run it much in these videos because most lost sectors you can finish before you even get your super. And this one requires your super to be fully charged. And when it is, you get much quicker cooldowns on your abilities. We're running an Elemental Well build with Font of Wisdom, Elemental Ordnance, Bountiful Wells, and Well of Ordnance. We also have on Elemental Charge, but that doesn't really apply to anything here as we have nothing to use our Charges of Light. Basically, this allows us to get a grenade kill which will spawn a well, and when we pick that well up, we'll have 100 Intellect from Font of Wisdom, we will get grenade energy back from Well of Ordnance, and our cooldowns will be quicker from picking up a well. And when Hollowfire Heart is active, this will make our cooldowns even quicker. You can spam grenades like crazy with this build if you're getting kills with those grenades. For weapons, we have a kinetic bow for stunning overload champions, and the Void sniper rifle Frozen Orbit for dealing with the Void shields. Lastly, we have 1000 voices with particle deconstruction to annihilate any champions. This thing is a monster this season, so I wanted to showcase it in the Solar Lost sector. And to make sure we don't run out of ammo, I have fusion rifle ammo finders, reserves, and scavengers on. A couple things I should mention is that if you're a lower light, then this build may not work because again we have no anti-barrier weapon. So instead of the sniper, you could run an anti-barrier auto. I get very unlucky with the barrier servitors blinking, but those things happen. Barrier servitors are an absolute pain to deal with. One more thing that I should mention is rather than Elemental Charge, which did nothing for us, I would recommend Melee Wellmaker here instead. Bottom Tree Sunbreaker is absolutely great for chaining your melees and grenades. The cooldowns from sunspots are insane even before Hollowfire Heart gets going. Here, I threw that grenade to try and proc Sol Invictus, which will give you your health back, but I threw it too close to myself and it killed me. This tree is so great because sunspots give you ability energy and health. It is an absolutely insane subclass if you didn't already know. Anyways, that is going to be it from me. I will let the rest of the run play out after my closing remarks. This Lost Sector is probably the worst Lost Sector to farm in the game. Even really good runs on Legend will take around 6 minutes unless you are absolutely cracked, in which case you do not need my guides. I hope this video was informative and entertaining for you. I loved the builds in this one as they are actually extremely strong even for endgame content. However, this Lost Sector is just way too long to try and farm for god rolls. Just wait for another day. But that is going to be it from me. If you enjoyed this video and made it this far, then a like would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any future uploads. As always, happy Lost Sector farming and take care.